Hey friends, I hope you are well. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's move on. Sufyan sent us from India. From the name, you must have guessed what the story is about. The story of this statement is told to him. I belong to India. This was the case when my shop was set on fire, and my business was completely frozen. My financial circumstances had become very bad. My niece, who was a truck driver, was driving to her brother's in Dubai for a few days. I thought until he came back I would drive his loading truck and would become a source of livelihood. After a while, I learned to drive from them. Since they had been doing this for years, they handed over their phone number to keep his work going as well. Once upon a time, a man called me to load the goods in his shop. I was familiar with the route he mentioned, so he easily moved his cargo. On the other hand, I received an order for this damaged car and some equipment to pass through a mountain path and move to a city. I wasn't familiar with these routes, but I still did, and I took the car to the orderer's house in the morning. The man loaded the car and made the trip. I took out the mobile, set up the location, and left with the luggage. The sudden appearance of one surprised me. His H as soon as I got out of the city limits. The very secluded path ahead began. The road was sunny, and the population was negligible, and the way was pretty much too. I was guessing that coming back would be the next morning. I started driving fast. He was on a mountain trail, and darkness and silence had made the trail more frightening, which started to scare me a little. The next moment, the fear that the idea was shocking came, and the idea of arriving early to its destination came. The path was perfectly straight, so I was as hard as not being. At that moment, I felt as if a car was in pursuit of me. As I turned around, a white car was following me, walking very slowly. I thought there was no car with me. The headlight was burning, leaving no doubt about his presence. In this wilderness, I was encouraged to have someone with me, but that car was driving too slowly. I nodded and accelerated the truck. It was from there that I increased the speed of the trap, and the car came and parked next to me. My truck barely survived the collision with this car because I braked in a timely manner. The car was parked in front of me. It's been a long time, but the car has not moved from its place. As soon as I got off the truck, the car was missing. I quickly drove a mobile flashlight around, but I couldn't see a name or a sign for the car. Now I have truly stood up. How, when I saw that car with my own eyes, could it disappear? I quickly got into the truck, tied my seatbelt, and started the truck. As soon as I started the truck, my eyes caught the back view mirror and my breath dried. Now that car was in the back of the truck again. I increased the speed of the truck and wanted to get out of there. But maybe my planets were in circulation and the truck didn't start. I tried hard, but it was all futile. On this deserted island, I began to fear such a mysterious move. What happened to the truck with the tail that is not starting? I looked around in distress. There was an old woman sitting in the seat next to me, smiling and looking at me. My fear turned bad, and I asked with a stuttering tone, "Who are you?" The woman smiled and disappeared. Fear completely gripped me, and I don't understand what to do now. I immediately called the person ordering and wanted to ask him about a mechanic in the area. Bill was leaving, and a terrible scream was heard from the mobile as soon as the bill was cut. When I looked at the mobile with my ear, it was making terrible noises, and that car was no longer visible to me anywhere. In the middle of the night, I was standing on a mystery road with my truck, where men were not even seen in the distance. Suddenly I came up with the idea of the old car I had loaded up again, and curiosity also began to occur. I got off the truck and went to the backside and opened the truck, so it was shocking to see that there was no car there. I started to wonder if it was the same car that was behind me and who was driving it. But that car was bad, and how could it drive? I was in the same struggle, and I twisted the flashlight around and stared into the darkness. Except for silence and darkness, I could not see anything. I went silently inside the truck in fear and got in the driving seat and started thinking about the situation. All night, I saw a light far away, and instead of hoping, I started to fear what would happen to me. I closed my eyes and sat down. When he opened his eyes, he saw that the light right near me was the headlight of the same car. The same question started circulating in my mind again. Who pulled the car out of the truck, and who drove it? I got out of the truck with encouragement, and it felt like someone was waiting for me when I parked this car. My feet were fighting, but I still moved towards this car and went. I knocked on the window of the driver's seat, but I couldn't find any response. I highlighted the mobile, and the scene blew my mind because there was no one in the driving seat. I saw all the cars with the flashlight, but the cars were empty. I started to sweat. I was anxiously getting a call from someone on my phone, but the mobile slipped out of my hand and fell down, and the flashlight went off. Leaning down, I started to go mobile as the car's headlight was on fire. So there was some light, but as soon as the light I had bent down also went out, it was dark all around, and the car began to drive on its own. The incident raised my cries in the air. I was a man and shouted out loud. The car went backwards, and I remembered my sins in my heart and asked God for forgiveness, and began to ask for help in this difficult situation. I didn't quite understand what to do. I walked in the dim light of the moon to the truck. He started riding on top of it. Now it wasn't even mobile, which would have given me a little encouragement. I just started reading the Quranic verses, as well as drugging and starting. Fortunately, the truck started. And then I got to my destination and went there, and I delivered the goods, but I couldn't deliver that car. I paid for this car. Although the car was garbage, it was very damaged, but it was improved by Allah. And after that, I did not use that route for my return.